All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to the Reinventing the Tattoo community. Today, we are live with Jordan and Fawn on another tattoo collecting podcast, and I will kick it over to you guys to get this show started.
Thanks so much, Lauren.
Awesome. Well, hello. Welcome back. It's been we missed last week. It was Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a good holiday and all that. We wanted to reiterate some things today. We're starting out with, host and co-host Fawn Baker,
First
Jordan
of all,
Ruckus.
here's what has happened. I've been talking to a lot of family members and friends of family members over the past few days that are like, so I heard you're doing a podcast. You're talking about how to tattoo, right? Technical, how machines are better. And I was like, kind of, but not at all. So
right. You're telling me they're asking, do you teach how to tattoo?
Yeah. So
not so much.
The thing is, all of the rest of the reinventing platform is how to be a better tattooer, how to be a better artist, how to understand all of the processes more, where we are literally you want to know how to get tattooed. You want to know how to wade through the pack of people. You want to know how
this
to
is
talk to your
information
artist the
for
right
the
way.
collector.
Yeah,
this is for you. This isn't, of course, for the tattoo artist as well, but what tattoo artist isn't a collector themselves? This is for that. It's for the collector and the artist. If you're an artist listening, but just as much, we want a podcast that's for someone. You don't have to be an artist. You don't even have to be a collector yet. But here is your guide. Here's your guide to getting a tattoo, getting a sleeve. Maybe it's just a small piece, or maybe you got in the back of your head that you had no idea how to go about getting a sleeve or even a bodysuit, but we'll lay it out for you. This is what episode is this?
I think we're at 64.
That's crazy.
Maybe.
So yeah, we got a year full of episodes, 64 episodes of teaching you that, but we wanted to reiterate what our statement is. What we're doing here.
Yeah, there's a lot of accidental things that I've learned through being a tattooer. There are a lot of things outside of how to tattoo that I have learned by collecting tattoos. You know what I mean? There are a lot of episodes where we delve down the spiritual rabbit hole, and we talk
as
about
a tattoo artist,
the interpersonal growth.
Yeah.
From getting tattooed.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we go down those roads, I'd like to go down that road today a bit, but I think, God, it's as a tattoo artist, it's I feel like this is all great information. You'll relate to it so much just because we are tattoo artists. Our banter is from the standpoint of tattoo artists, but also so much from the standpoint of being collectors ourselves and trying to get this information out to collectors. We don't want to teach you how to tattoo and to teach you how to get a tattoo.
Yeah, those of you that maybe are tuning in for the first time, or maybe have just caught a few hit or miss episodes, anybody can sit up here and talk to you about the do's and don'ts of being a tattoo collector. But Jordan and I are both so passionate on our journey, and we're both seeking, I'm not going to say we're both seeking the exact same kinds of knowledge, but we're both seeking knowledge, and we're both seeking growth, and we're both as artists, we're still growing, but as people, we're still growing. And, there are just certain things that sitting there on the table and going through the pain, and it's crazy to, and this is why I think maybe this is the perfect episode to have right after Thanksgiving, is it's crazy to sit there and be in the worst pain of your life, but still have the complete attitude of gratitude. You're thankful and grateful to be in the position to be able to know this artist and have this artist work on you, and have the means to pay for this artist to work on you, and have the means to travel to this artist, or whatever the situation is. You're going through an incredibly rough experience, but still having gratitude to have the opportunity to be there. It's a funny conundrum, right? To have both the suckiest day of the month and
but also
be
you're
grateful
so
to be there.
Fucking grateful that this person's torturing you.
Yeah.
You couldn't be more grateful to go through the worst experience and the best experience of your life. I don't want to say worst experience, but all honesty, big tattoos hurt. There's no way around that. But they're not. There's plenty of things that hurt in life.
I like the screen that's going on behind us today. I don't know if you switched it up, but I like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's going to switch again.
Boom. Sorry, squirrel.
That's all right.
But do you have any tattoo appointments coming up or anything?
Yeah, I just
soon?
made my appointment with Guy. So
Nice.
getting back in with Guy in March.
Excellent.
You have to wait a few months on that. I've been tight a couple months, but oh man, I'm ready to get the ball moving. I've been a bad client. It's been about a year, but hey, things come up. We all got things we got to pay for.
Well, yeah, you just moved. You've done a lot just in the last few months.
Just got my car and all that. Now that I got that settled, I can start paying for the other things. But tattooing, finishing this tattoo has been so important to me. I've been thinking about it so much. So I'm just so stoked to get back in. It'll be a little vacation too.
Yep.
Also going out to
It'll be nice there in March too, don't you think? Early spring.
Hopefully not chigger season. Hopefully not.
Take the alcohol.
Yeah, I'm gonna spray so much alcohol.
Douse yourself.
Oh man, that's the worst. Having those on my back and stuff while it was healing that first time.
So Hyperspace is an incredibly magical. It's a magic studio. Like that, he and Michelle have done such a beautiful job. Guy and Michelle have done such a beautiful job setting up that studio. And like, as you're sitting there getting tattooed, you've got these huge panel windows, and you're just looking out into this beautiful, like, secret garden almost. There's hummingbirds and bees and birds, and it's magic. And there's trails. The trails are beautiful. There's a pond. There's an old building that birds nest on. And, there's fruit trees. But you know what else there is?
Nature.
More nature. There's more nature. What's the bad side? What's the only bad thing about going to visit Guy and enjoying the nature?
The bugs, the tiny bugs. But it's not even like a lot of bugs. It's a lot of like microscopic bugs. It's little chiggers, if you've ever heard of them. But don't worry, go out to Guy's spot. Get your tattoo. It's going to be amazing. But if you go wander everything,
don't stand still.
Yeah, don't stand still, and your pants don't keep you safe because they crawl into your pants and then they'll hang out. You just got to spray everything down with alcohol. Bring a spray bottle of alcohol, you'll be fine. And you don't have bed bugs, you have chiggers.
That was a colorful journey.
That was a wild 3 weeks of healing after that. And
did it really take you that long?
I was so relieved when Rob messaged me. Like the first message I get from Rob is a picture of his foot, all huge and inflamed and full of chigger bites. And he's just,
Jordan's like, yep.
After that, I just get all capital chiggers, like exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. He's like, do you guys have the same thing going on? He's like, it's these little things. I'm like, man, I thought it was bed bugs. He's like, no, dude, it's these little guys.
All part of the tattoo journey.
Yeah. Yeah, that should not be anything you think. That should only just be this tiny little thing to overcome when you're going to get your tattoo. Just be aware of where you're going to get your tattoo and what the outside circumstances are going to be where you're at. It's something I would have never thought about, but hey, it's the most beautiful place, like tattoo studio and place. Not the most beautiful tattoo studio I've ever been to. And you got 40 acres back there. You go wander around. But I didn't know that before I went. And I was unaware as well. You don't expect that.
I grew up in the woods and never had that happen to me.
A lot in the woods, yeah, exactly.
But then again, we both grew up running around in Michigan. Maybe it's something like the sandier soil or like the makeup, like they just don't thrive there. Or maybe because it's just a little bit colder in Michigan, or
could just be a bloom of them like algae or something, in that area of the forest, that area of the state.
Yep. I've never experienced anything like that in the woods. But it's fun. It's beautiful. Just if you go for a hike at Hyperspace, keep moving. Don't stand still.
Yep. I'm taking that advice for anywhere that I go, that I'm in nature now. I don't want to sit still for too long in any grass anywhere unless I got some sort of cover or bug spray. Don't want those.
We got to get some time on the books to get on your arm, you and I. We can set the cameras up and make that happen. That'll give us a lot of super fun footage that we can kind of edit together and have a whole Fawn beating Jordan up episode.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. We're gonna get that. We'll get that in the books.
Actually, now that we're talking about it, that could be a really good episode to talk about how we use Bactine, how we use different prenums in the spicy areas. You know what I mean? Like how it's effective, how it's less effective from our experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you use it, but also some sessions you don't use it.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where like, even myself, like sometimes it's worth it, but other times, like I just know my client's going to be strong enough to power through it. And once we introduce Bactine a few minutes in, it's going to be a walk in the park. But like, some areas, the prenum really helps you get like a soft head start before it like it's full throttle.
Right. I never mind using it on anyone as long as we got the stencil on the skin, or like the stencil's down, or like it's outlined or dotted or whatever it needs to be before we get into everything. Once that's down, I'm fine. I just worry about the way that the stencil sits on top of that, because
the skin's already moist.
I always alcohol the skin before I start. You know what I mean? And as soon as I introduce alcohol, especially to prep the stencil, if I use that over top of that, it's going to deactivate all of the lidocaine you've been sitting there using if I rub that with alcohol. But also, if I just I'm worried that if I lay the stencil on there, it's just going to wipe off so much easier, because you just have a big film of that stuff.
No, with my like marker drawings and stuff, sometimes it can take me like an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours just to do the marker drawing.
Marker over top of it?
No, I was just going to say that's one of the things that like it's a trade-off, is I can't use it on that first session, even though it's sucky. But I always encourage my clients, like if that's the case and we're in a really rough area, it's like all we got to do is get this committed, and then every other session I can baby you more. And sometimes it's like clients. And a lot of times, like to be honest, usually my first session is one of the longer sessions too. So it's tougher because we've got like the outlining and commitment. We've got you've never been tattooed by me before, so you've got all that anxiety. And then you've got like I kind of want to see the stamina of my client on our first session. So I always like push it as far as I think I can. So then I know how to treat each session going on. So like for me, it's easy. I guess I shouldn't say it's easy, but I try to make it easier by being like, today's our longest marathon session. No session will be worse than our first session. And sometimes it's like, we got the hardest part out of the way, so you don't have to be scared about coming back. It won't be worse than today. Because you know how sometimes people, if they have a bad first session or a traumatic first session getting tattooed, there's almost like that anxiety, like I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
And when you jump into it like that, and they jump into it like that, it's always it's a bit of an uphill battle, because you're already starting from the bottom like that.
Yeah, but I think most of my big projects, the first session is usually the toughest for a lot of reasons. Like I just want to gauge you. I want to gauge, what we can accomplish in a session. I want to, I want to get our project committed and get a good solid start where we can catch the ball and run with it. But like within that, there's a lot of other goals that like, this stuff's super purple. I should have warned you. Your little tiny puffs.
I got baby lungs lately.
It's okay. Little tiny puffs.
Got baby lungs lately. I mean, I've been smoking a lot of weed with baby lungs.
With baby lungs.
Yep. Weed's doing them in the mind great lately. Weed is not doing the lungs wonderful lately.
I'm glad you've got something on the books. I hoped you'd get something at least scheduled soon, because it's still going to be a while. I still got a little bit of a journey on my like mouth before I get back into getting tattooed.
Yeah.
But like when I do, I think I'm going to hit it hard and heavy. I'll probably finish my torso first and then start reaching out to some of the international artists I'd like to get tattooed by.
Look who wants in.
Who is it?
It's
Ben. Oh, what up?
Yay.
Ben Volio.
But yeah, it's nice to have have a session in. Mm-hmm. 2 more and we're going to finish it up. Sounds excited to get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and like your back was a perfect example of what I'm talking about. That first session where like everything was committed and you did all that work like right on your spine. No session's going to be worse than that.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's been so much easier since that first day where there was just no numbs. Oh, look who it is. It's Ben.
You guys talking about spinal tats?
Yep, spinal tats.
Yeah, we're just kind of having a recap of our mission statement, and like, after Thanksgiving, it's easy to talk about gratitude and gratitude to be able to collect and gratitude to, it's a perfect time. So what's Ben up to today?
Yeah, absolutely. Missing you two.
I know.
That's about it.
All of our timing's so different now.
Yeah.
Look at that beautiful beard.
And saw my Zoom invite and figured I'd touch in with the fam. I feel like I have you guys forever.
Oh, I'm glad you were able to.
I know, man. I've been feeling the same. It's so good to see you.
Absolutely. We're gonna have to I'm gonna have to take a day off here soon and come in and just reabsorb some podcast time.
You know, you're always welcome, Ben.
Always welcome. If you ever want to come smoke, burn a
We've been
blunt.
missing you. Todd's had a lot of stuff going on, so he hasn't been able to join us much lately, but I think we're going to get the ball rolling and get our peanut gallery back together every episode. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
Nice. Have much time. I just had felt the need to click in and say hello and let you guys know I love you and I'm missing the cast and all that. So.
No, it's so good to hear from you.
Well, I'm glad you did, Ben. We always miss having you.
I got one of my clients, that client that was remember he mentioned that it was good to see you in the podcast or meet you or whatever because he knew you from the podcast. Yeah. Remember my client?
Yeah.
Last time I tattooed him, he's like, "Where's Ben been?"
That's crazy. He's like the only person that's ever seen me in the wild and recognized me from the show. And
loves you. He loves you, man.
That's crazy.
He's like, I love hearing him on there, man.
It really tripped me up to be noticed. I've never had that experience in my life. So.
Caught in the wild.
Yeah, definitely give him my hellos and all the good love because that was a really special moment for me. I'm not gonna lie.
That's awesome. We're gonna get him on sometime because we just finished his sleeve, and he's from Michigan, I think, and so I don't know when the next time I'll see him is, but I think he's gonna either tune in on Zoom or something.
Well, extra rad. Definitely send out my love.
So some cool stuff that's going on at the shop because Reinventing is coming to Red Tree.
Yep.
Derb he already has one nice big stage and he's getting another one that's like a few inches taller so that we'll have like nice presentable areas for Reinventing, but he's like, you guys are welcome to use this anytime. So like maybe we can just keep a little area set up at the studio now that we've got like a nice little stage and a backdrop and at our disposal. So
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. It might make it easier to have like a meeting place or to grab like additional footage, like people that aren't available to meet with us at noon. We can get like a half hour, an hour chit chat in the evening and then just plug it in. Makes me optimistic.
I like the ideas.
Moving on.
Well, homies, I'm gonna slam this sandwich. If there is anything out of my 9 to 5, such as setting up stuff at Red Tree that you can loop me into, keep me in that loop, fam, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Absolutely, Ben.
Course,
thanks
brother.
for joining us for a little bit. It's good to hear from you.
Love you guys.
Talk to you soon.
You too, bro. Peace.
Bye.
Oh, that was great to hear from Ben. I've had a few people asking about Ben.
Yeah, it's been weeks since I've seen Ben.
Yeah, Ben's been.
Have you been hanging out with Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been chilling. We got pool league too. So like even though I had a bunch of stuff going on this week, I kind of took a break from it so I could go to pool league. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And Corey's on pool league with us too. So we're like, it's hard for them to know. So it's a funny thing. Like half the team members' last name is Baker. So everybody thinks I'm related to them. It's like, no, I'm from a whole different clan. And then half of us, well, not half of us, but a couple of us are tattooers. And then everybody just assumes that Ben is one of the tattooers.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. We've actually got a pretty cool little pool league family.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You should come one night and hang out. It's on Tuesday nights.
Might join one day.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't usually go super late, but
yeah, but
it's a super good, me, Ben, and Corey are
Where
there. A few different bars around Columbus. There's a few nice pool halls.
They just kind of move around to different ones.
Yeah, we've got a home one, but there's like we travel to different pool halls around the city. So they're all within like 20 minutes. Okay. So yeah, but it's fun. Okay. Super fun. Nobody's like, I don't know. It's just such a laid back, like nobody's like drinking and falling down drunk. Like I actually feel comfortable enough to drink a little bit. But it's a really good time. Yeah. Like after all the like, awesome. And it's just a different pace of socializing, like with clients and, the day in and day out. It's different to socialize and actually like blow off steam with things that are not work related or art related, or, some like, as much as I love it, it's really nice to have that outlet where it's like something else that I love and uses kind of like a different side of my brain. And I think it's a good release from like all the electronics that I've been bombarding myself with, like sitting there with like an actual pool cue in my hand and just like calculating things on a table. It's analog, it's organic, and it just like, I think it's a relief from doing like orders of operations in whatever program I'm working on, or
Absolutely. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think even if you love your job, it's important still to have an outlet that's something different outside of it. Just exactly that. So you can flex a different side of your brain.
Yeah.
So you can, I don't know.
Yep.
Just get a little bit of extra something else. And it's a fun way. It gives you your social opportunity too, it sounds like.
Yep. And then also like playing with somebody different every week, and we're both like concentrating. It's so different, like how the different personalities of my opponents from other teams are. Like sometimes they're a blast, like even if they're better than me, and I know I'm more than likely gonna lose when I walk up to the table. Like it's nice when it's a good friendly game back and forth, but we're both like using all of our brain power, and we're both actually trying, but it's still fun.
We used to have a bar right next to Sacred Expressions in Grand Rapids, the last studio I used to work at. And me and all my coworkers there, like Steven and Nick, we would go, or Brian, we would go to we bar right next door that had awesome pool tables. Not really a nice bar, but nice.
When the pool tables roll, right?
Good four pool tables. And yeah, we'd just be over there just challenging other people, just teaming up,
I didn't know you used to shoot pool. We'll have to get together. I think
I'm not good. I'm not like super good, but I also love to play, and I love to try to play good.
So I think Ben and I are going to set his pool table up in my basement. I need to rearrange my work benches, and then I think we can fit the pool table right in the middle. Then maybe we can have like podcast and pool. Just sitting around casual. I don't gamble. I've never played for money. I've never played for money at all.
I keeps. I'm just kidding.
Throw our pink slips on the table. No, don't take my band. I need that.
Oh, I raise you one truck.
Be the worst idea ever.
No, terrible. Oh, we're on the podcast right now. Truck broke. I was gonna say, do I need to do my bitching on the podcast? But yes, I do. Truck broke down in Detroit the other day.
Already?
Yeah, but turns out not a big issue.
Okay.
Airflow sensors.
Nice.
Check your airflow sensors, because it just shut down my whole vehicle because it was saying that it wasn't getting any airflow. It was super gunked up and dirty. Whole engine went into like engine reduced power mode, and I'm on basically on the highway, and all of a sudden it wants to just go 10 miles an hour.
I hate to say I'm glad it was a sensor, but I'm glad it was a sensor.
I thought it was transmission or something.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think. I was like,
sensors
no
get
way.
expensive, but sensors, like when it's just a sensor going out as opposed to an actual mechanical problem where you've got to fix the mechanical problem and replace the sensors.
This is a 60,000 mile, car. So it's like 2010,
yeah.
but it's like new. But brought it to mechanic.
It's early for a sensor to go out like that, but I'm glad that's all it was.
The last owner that had it put 50,000 miles on in that time. I just feel like it was just Michigan municipal. I feel like it probably wasn't really, I don't know.
We're just driven.
Yeah, and just driven or sat, I don't know. My guess is, but at the same time, hoping that it's no deeper issue. He was like, think it fixes it. Think it's gonna fix it.
So here's another thing. This might comfort your mind.
For that.
This might comfort your mind. In Michigan, there are dirt roads everywhere. So if it was a municipality that had like little dirt clay roads, they kick up dust and it's going to draw a ton of stuff into it. In Ohio, we don't have dirt roads. They're all graveled. So if that's what it is and it came from Michigan, you probably won't ever have that issue again.
Right, exactly. And the reality situation, it was super gunked up. So that's got to do something,
Yep.
So happy about that. And now it drives great. And I'm just happy to have a newer truck. Newer, older.
Yeah.
Main stressors of Jordan in the past week. But we have overcome.
So
it had me stuck out in Detroit for a couple of days, made things a little extra.
I should have asked you to send it to us. We should talk about it later on, but some of the work that you've been doing, that piece you just posted.
Which one?
It was like a lower arm sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. We'll pull it up later on in the show when we start noodling on new artists. And I've got a lot of new artists to share. But back to our mission today.
Yeah.
Mission statement of the show.
Yeah. Mission statements.
Jordan, why do we take
We're
time
here
out
for
of
the
our
collectors.
lives every Thursday to talk to people about this stuff? Why is that important to us?
Because we want to teach you guys how to get a tattoo, but we also want to show you what it's like. It's just, firsthand. This is how, this is where it's at. We work every day with how to get a tattoo, whether it's how we are tattooing or how we're getting tattooed. We're confronting the best artists we can find when we want tattoos. We are doing the best tattoos we can. And, we're in a place where, we're doing big sleeves, we're doing large pieces, we're working where we want to be tattooing. And so coming from both these worlds, I feel like we want to teach people how to do this, how to achieve a tattoo that they really want. If you don't know how to get a tattoo, how to get that. But even if you do, how to elaborate on that, how to find an artist who's gonna.
It's crazy how many people are like, so how'd you get in with Guy? How'd you get in with Russ?
So hard.
And it'll be like,
it was so difficult.
I emailed them.
Right.
I went to the webpage and it said to submit the form.
And
so
sometimes you think that's like, it's
form.
too easy. It's not real. It's like, but really it is. That's how easy it is to get in with the most famous artists you can think of. Yeah, they might be booked up, but it does not hurt to just send an email.
Most good artists, like once you get to a certain point, you kind of need to have a manager. So a lot of good artists have managers. So even if you're not talking to that artist directly, you're going to be talking to somebody who's going to like help you.
They're not going to shuffle you off. They want you in. They want you to get a tattoo as well. If this is the right tattoo for you.
For instance, if you message an artist and either they or their manager gives you advice about like maybe changing your idea up a little bit, or like they do recommend another artist, like there's a lot of advice in that. Like if this is the artist for you and you're really compelled, you need to like kind of let that artist know, like I've done my homework and you're my artist and this is why. But at the same time, you need to be very open about what they or their manager is saying, because their goals as an artist at that time might be different than their goals as an artist a year ago or 2 years ago, or, whatever, like whenever the piece that they did that caught your eye, whenever they did that, they might be in a different place as an artist. And if you're open-minded as a collector, maybe you'll like what they're doing now even more. So that's why it's really important to be open-minded, because if you liked something about their work, you're probably going to like all of their work or the majority of their work.
Mm-hmm.
But like, as artists, we're always growing and we're always changing. And like myself, I'm always trying to master a new trick or a new set of tricks. And then once I do, I add more tricks to that. And that, you know what I mean? So there's always this evolution. So, I feel like right off the bat, if I were to have a consultation with somebody and they were to say, I love this tattoo that you just completed yesterday, I would look them in the eye and I would say, what I'm going to do on you will blow that out of the water. You know what I mean? Just because like, I know as an artist, every piece is going to have something new in it. It's going to have, so like,
absolutely,
being open and allowing your artist to grow is really important. So there's a lot of important things like when you message,
and those are subtle things I feel like you don't, some people don't always think of when they do message an artist, and that's where we're at, is to help describe all these subtleties of how, how to approach it and how
bridge the gap.
Yeah,
there's a lot of like for tattooers and like tattooers managers, we are submerged in tattoo talk all the time. We're submerged in etiquette all the time. We're submerged in the right and wrong way things are done. Like we eat, sleep, and breathe it. Like we have to take time. Like we have to deliberately take time and do things to shut our brain down away from tattooing. You know what I mean? Like we have to commit in our schedule to shut tattooing off for a day.
Right.
Where most other people, they only think about tattoos when they're thinking about getting a tattoo, or, it's just an occasional thought for some people. Even heavy tattoo collectors might not think about what it's like for their tattooer. And, like one of the pet peeves I think of a lot of tattooers and a lot of just busy business people, period, is when a client or a customer says, but you make your own schedule. Yeah,
it doesn't work like that.
Do,
but
like it's really hard. you
And I
know.
do not go away from my protocol, not for anything, because it's my well-being and this is our career. When you're
Well,
as a
and
tattoo artist, when we're 10 years deep into it, we can't treat it like we're tattooing our friends. Like we have to treat it like a business, and we have to do things by protocol, even if sometimes we don't want to. We still need to do that because it throws things off. And if by chance we do, that's by chance and that's on us. Don't beg for that, and don't ever come at us like that.
yeah, it's not even
Don't beg
like,
for us to come in on our day off. Like
yeah,
our days
it's
off are very, very special,
Mhm.
especially an artist who's been working a long time. For artists working 1 year, anybody, your day off is special. But also, as an established person working in a career, your days off are very special.
Well,
when you're
here's the thing.
deeper
It
into
takes a lot of work to become established. And to become established, you miss out on a lot. You miss out on a lot of family events. You miss out on a lot of like social things. Like you miss out. In order to become good at this craft, you miss out. So once you're far enough along that you know that you should only be working 4 or 5 days a week, like your days off, you've earned those. And even though like sometimes clients will be like, well, I'll pay you extra to come in on your day off. Like
It's
that's
like
one of those,
it's
that's
like
a funny
I'm
etiquette
it's
where
I'm
like,
literally already giving up, $1,000+ for not coming in that
Right.
day. So I'm already spending like, okay, my free time is worth $1,000 today. I'm giving myself $1,000 worth of free time if I take today off.
Mhm.
I don't try to see it in a money sense like that, but I also have to tell
But
myself that as a businessman and running my business, that like, that time off, when someone doesn't come in or something like that, or it's a no call, no show, I'm missing out big time.
well, like in other industries, it might be nice to be like, oh yeah, I'd love to take that extra money on a day off. Like, oh yeah. But like, it's one of those things where the etiquette is just different and collectors might not know, but they're kind of breaking etiquette. You know what I mean? That's why I
Right.
want to talk
And we're
about
here-
things like
I
this.
feel like, yes, exactly. So we can mitigate all those stressors.
Yeah.
So we don't, you don't ever have to get on like a weird side. I know it's hard to navigate, exactly how to go about this, because it is a different industry. How you approach things are a little bit different. What the artists have to go through is different than other service industries and
Mhm.
stuff. Some people do come in thinking that I'm
This
gonna
is
get
just
I'm gonna
so
get a
much
tattoo.
more
I'm gonna get a
involved.
tattoo in 15 minutes, or this artist can do anything. They're a really good artist, which means they can do anything. And we're here to tell you, like, love and totally respect your way of thinking, but we can go much more in detail into this.
Mhm. Yeah, it is a funny thing, like especially now, like not that I don't do black and gray tattoos anymore, but right now I'm really exploring color. So like there are a lot of times where people will message me with like my own previous work, and it's like, well, I mean, if you've messaged me, you've already read everything on my webpage that says I'm concentrating in color, but you specifically, and I'm talking about new clients. If I've already got a client that is like, we're really deep into a black and gray collection, like I'm going to continue on them in black and gray. But I mean, new clients, new projects, new collectors on my workload, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's a funny thing when like, okay, so you've clearly like read all the words that are on my webpage. If you've made it this far to hit the schedule now or inquiry, but like you didn't read anything. Like you didn't read like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm looking to do. This is the direction I'm going. Like I understand that's a great tattoo that I did 4 years ago and I'm still really proud of it. However, like I would rather do like a fantasy or a fantasy tiger with a, crazy, colorful jungle scene around it rather than a portrait of a black and gray tiger.
Right. So sometimes
You know
it's
what
a
I
good
mean?
idea when you approach your artist to, see what your artist wants to do, maybe where they want to go with a piece. If you give them an idea, ask your artist, it's like, what are some things that you're already looking at? You should already be looking at them for their portfolio and the work that they've done. So you've already seen that, and you've most likely come to them and hopefully come to them because, they're going along the lines of something that you want. But then approach them with, where would you like to take this? How would you like to do this? Or give us creative freedom to be able to go farther than what we've done before. Because like you said before, that's ultimately what we want to do, because we want to do better than the last piece we've done. And we want to take things a little bit further, but we also need the space and the opportunity to do that. And you will always get an amazing piece from an artist who's like striving like that. but sometimes it just takes the trust and also knowing how to approach that in general and knowing the words to say. Sometimes you just don't even know the words to say, and it's like, I want this, you felt like you had to look up for days and days and days and days on every little detail of what you want from the tattoo and what it has to be, and you feel like you want to control it hardcore, and all that's fair, and that's what we all want, to control our lives and what we want in our body to some degree. But then there's this big thing of letting go and seeing
how much cooler the idea can evolve into.
And just knowing that you're approaching an artist who wants the best for your piece. When you're going to an established good tattoo artist, they want the best for your piece.
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay,
hopefully,
absolutely.
Not
if it's a good artist,
artists
they're going to
are
want
made
the
the
best
same.
for you.
That's why you spend some time looking them up, looking at their portfolios and seeing how they interact with the world.
Let's say hypothetically, you have had a fantastic consultation with a client who wants to do exactly what you want to do, and you're about to jump into a huge project and their appointment's the following month. What should that client do to prepare for their upcoming tattoo appointment? Like in the month and week and days before their tattoo session?
After their consultation?
Yeah.
So after we both know exactly what they want?
Yeah, like let's say everything's gone good, the artist and client are on the same page. I think it'd be kind of cool to jump into advice on how to prepare. Like once you've gone through the hoops and you've gotten in touch with your artist, you've gotten your deposit made, you're on the same page about your ideas, they're working on your drawing. How can the collector prepare for what's about to happen? If let's say we're talking like a full all-day session, big project.
There's some bases to cover, and then there's extras you can do. I feel like extras would be like, take your vitamins, keep your skin healthy, come in, drink a lot of water, and of course eat a lot of food, but drink a lot of water and stuff. It's going to make your skin healthier. It's going to make it easier for the artist if your skin's full of water and nice and plump and fucking great.
I like
come
to
in
say
dehydrated and your skin's all like turns into like snake skin, and like
your whole body's
reptile
like chapped
skin
lips
and stuff. Like, I mean, people don't think about that, but like, look at your skin when you're dehydrated. Don't drink water all day, and then go and drink. I mean, I'm not going to advise that, but also then go and drink water all day. You're going to see a huge difference in your skin. Yeah, extra bases to cover. But then I think
I like to say, treat your body like you love it. Like treat your body like you actually love it. Because the better you are to your body before a tattoo, the quicker you're going to recover from that tattoo. Like if you're healthy and you're hydrated and you've been taking your vitamins, what could be a 2-week heal, if you're unhealthy and exhausted and you haven't been eating right and you're dehydrated, that could be a 2-week heal from the tattoo. But if you've eaten right, you're hydrated, you're sleeping right, you're resting, you're doing all the things that your body needs to be ready to recover, your recovery could be 4 or 5 days.
Stay mindful that
do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Stay mindful that your tattoo appointment's coming up. I know a lot of people stay super excited, so of course they're thinking about it every day. It's like Christmas. But then I feel like there are some people where it's like you scheduled it 3 months out and it comes up when it comes up, and you're a busy person, and all of a sudden it's the day of the tattoo and you realize, oh shit, I have not been drinking water for 3 days. Very I'm not drinking water, I haven't been eating good, I'm stressed out, I got all this going on, and you got your tattoo appointment coming up. And then you're just like, crunch time, it's like, try to stay conscious of it days beforehand, keep drinking water days beforehand. You cannot be high. You can't just go to your appointment and then drink water. That's not how you hydrate. You have to hydrate hours and hours and hours beforehand, if not the night before, and keep that as a rule.
So I would never discourage somebody from drinking water at their session, but I actually always encourage my clients to bring pop would not be the first choice, but pop, a sugary drink, or like a fruit juice, something to kind of keep their blood sugar up.
I like all that. I think definitely bring sugary stuff.
Powerade, Gatorade kind of things. I
think staying healthy is great. I also call tattoo days my cheat day though. So at the same time, I'm like, it's my tattoo day. I'm just going to kind of, if whatever fluids, as much Gatorade, as much pop, not as much pop, but like I'll drink a pop, I'll drink a Gatorade, I'll maybe I'll have a Red Bull, or drink some water. And if I eat food, shoot, I might get some really good food.
Something that I think is really important to remind my clients at our consultation, especially if they're like, this is their first big project, is this day is going to be like a marathon on your body, like a literal marathon. We're going to exhaust your body as much as if you were actually running a marathon. Like we're going to push it that far. We're going to get that much accomplished. So that's why we say it's your cheat day, because you're actually going to burn through all of that while all that adrenaline is running, and like all of your body, while you're being tattooed, your
Think about all
body
the-
is
the
depleting
tensing and the
things
flexing
more
you're doing
quickly.
for 5 straight hours of tensing and
Mhm.
flexing. You know, it's
Yep. So there's
doing so
actually a
much.
reason that we call it your cheat day. Like, yes, bring your favorite snacks and stuff, but like you're actually going to need all of that. Like, you know how athletes will carbo load the night before events? You know,
Yeah.
they'll like do pasta parties and things like that. It's kind of the same idea. Like, you want your body to have enough energy for the trauma you're about to
right.
put it
The day
through.
before is super important to the day of, you know, not the
Mhm.
morning of. You're gonna wake up and nothing's gonna happen the morning of. You know, you're gonna be so excited for your tattoo, you're probably not gonna get shit done. You're just gonna go right to your tattoo appointment. You might be too anxious to even eat.
Most of the time I am.
Yeah, me too.
I stroll in with
Eat
like
the
a
night
breakfast
before.
sandwich and a coffee, and it's like, and then I don't even touch my breakfast sandwich until it's like
Right.
break time. And
I can be here and there. I can be kind of bad about it. I know all the perfect things I should be doing and what I should be doing and telling my clients, but
But if you
sometimes
take
life
care of yourself,
sometimes life hits a little bit different.
if you take care of yourself the days beforehand, that morning, you're already good to
Right.
go.
You just don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate it. This night before, day before.
I have had sessions sneak up on me where it's like, oh man, I thought that was next week. Where it's like, oh, I already am
Right.
exhausted. I already gotta like, but
I haven't
and you
had
feel
an
it.
appointment like that.
My
before where
my
it's come up like
stamina,
that,
if I haven't prepared, my stamina really is depleted. Like, you know I can sit all day. I know I can sit all day with 2 people working on me. Like, I know I've got stamina to sit through like serious tattooing for long hours. But if I haven't prepared, I hate life after 4 hours. And I mean, that's still a pretty good, reasonable window. But like, if I could have gone 6 hours before I hit that wall of really struggling, you know, that's the difference. Is, you know, you just hit the wall sooner if you don't take care of your body. And then now your artist is fighting somebody who's more tired and flinchy and just over the whole process. Where if you've taken care of your body, you and your artist can really just sit down for the long haul, and your body's going to be there for it.
right. You spend the time taking care of your body too. I feel like that will overcome any other mental issues that you might have going on. Like if you're really anxious, or say you get in a fight with someone, you know, the day before, you know, or, you know, things come up and you're just not in the best, you know, place in your head or something before a tattoo. You know, if you're at least taking care of your body and you're drinking water and doing all that, and you're covering the love bases of your body and loving yourself, like then, you know, that's a good way to still enter a tattoo.
I wish I would have saved it. Earlier this week, I saw Instagram reel that was this. It was like a tattooer that was playing the client and the tattooer in the reel. And it's the client like crawling up on the massage table, and she's got like 3 blankets, a pillow, snacks, and then like at the very end she puts this scented candle on top of everything. I lost it at the scented candle. And then it cuts to the artist in her chair like, what you gonna do with all that junk? One of my clients, Devin, she always jokes around that she brings like half of her house with her when she gets tattooed. But like, we have long sessions, and you know, when you're working on a back piece, she knows like how she likes to sit, so she'll get herself comfortable and like wrap around her pillow and blanket, and like it works out great.
I love that. I love when clients get comfortable enough to do that, and always try to encourage it and tell people like, man, bring a blanket if you got it, you know, bring one you don't mind, you know.
Make sure it's clean,
Exactly.
not covered with pet dander.
Exactly. Don't bring a hair covered blanket into the studio. I don't want that. But yeah, get comfy. I like getting comfy.
The scented candle was over the top though.
It's really funny.
What would you do if a client did bring in a scented candle and like set up aromatherapy around?
To be honest, I'd be impressed, and I would go with it.
You'd be impressed. You'd be
Yeah.
like, all right, like, hold on, let me go out to my truck and get my sage real quick.
It depends.
Let's
I would
do
have
this
I would have
right.
to be feeling out the personality. If it was like, and I mean, I think more times than less, if someone did that, they would probably have this overbearing personality where it's like everything's, they got to control everything. They don't care about what the other person thinks as much as this is what I need, and like, you can do what you're gonna do, but I need this, and then that. And it's like, that's all fair, but still at the same time, you didn't ask me about the scented candle.
I don't even like vanilla sugar cookies.
Right. You
it makes my mouth water all day.
You didn't ask me if I like pine. You didn't ask me if I like vanilla. I do like both of those, but you didn't ask me if I like them.
You didn't give me the option.
What about Brandon here? Does he like that? No, I mean, I honestly, but I like candles. So at the same time, that's where I would be like, I don't know, I wouldn't mind having a candle burning, but I do feel like that would be kind of weird. Just kind of doing stuff in my room.
Yeah, no, I have clients bring a pillow, bring a blanket, bring an extra change of clothes. Some clients just like to change
Be
into comfy
Don't wear
clothes.
jeans.
Yeah, the comfy pajamas are the best things to get tattooed in for real.
Act like you're going to bed.
Some clients bring books. I can't read when I get tattooed. Some people paint when they get tattooed.
Just in case half your body gets cold. If we're working on one arm and you have to not have a shirt on the entire time, and maybe it's 69 degrees in the studio. I mean, that's just between that point of kind of like being a little chilly with your shirt off.
So if I'm getting tattooed at a convention, I always take my blanket with me. That way I can like walk through the crowd. I've talked about this before, but I've got a blanket that it's made out of like old sari. So it's got one print on one side and another print on the other. When I'm getting tattooed, I always designate the side that's going to face me and the sides that's going to face everything else. That way I can just like, if we take a break, we go out to smoke, or, we just go walk around, restroom break, whatever, I can just wrap my blanket around me and I can walk freely. I don't have to worry about bumping into people, or because you know how you'll see people walk in with like oozing, seeping tattoos,
right?
And
then
just
you got
like
your own little barrier,
shimmying through the crowd, trying to not let their dripping saran wrap touch people. So I just literally cover with my blanket. And then as I'm laying there at the convention, then I've always got that to put over me or cover me or roll up and use as a pillow. But like, I try to be like, in addition to bringing a clean blanket, I try to bring a blanket that's like different sided so that I can designate the side that's contaminated with me and the side that's contaminated with everything else. So that, so that I've got a good barrier, because you don't want to like contaminate it, have a contaminated blanket and then flip it. And now you're contaminated with all the people that you bumped up against.
I think that's something we never really touch on too much, is like cross-contamination for like minor cross-contamination lessons for, just the average person. You know what I mean? That's even the people in our studio, so they're not touching the wrong thing, so they don't put their hands on something, especially when we talk about introducing new objects into a room and things like that. We obviously don't want dirty stuff in our room. We're not going to want anything with hair full of it. We don't like even on your shirt and stuff, like it's going to get kind of all over, and it's, if it gets in your tattoo and you have a reaction because now you got hair on your tattoo from that, like we might not know that it's the hair and we're wondering what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it could be.
Never happened to me, but you never know if that could happen.
It's just other variables that we don't have control over.
I forgot exactly.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. Like sometimes clients, like there are some times where we'll take a break and I'm not in a point yet in the tattoo where I can cover it without losing my stencil or without losing my marker drawing. And those are the times where I just kind of like watch my client like a hawk, and I just watch and make sure that like nothing touches and they don't touch anything that is, and we're fortunate enough at Red Tree, we've got Maticide wipes around every single corner. So it literally is not even a process to decontaminate. Like it's walk 6 feet, grab a wipe it down. Right. Wash hands, done.
Everyone in our studio, it's just
we're all so mindful of
literal muscle memory.
So there are exceptions where like we need to eat, our food is here, it's time to take a break, you're woozy, but I still can't quite cover this area yet without ruining future progress. So there are times where I do just have to kind of like watch my client like a hawk and be mindful that they're not touching things and they're not touching their open tattoo and things like that. But the majority of the time we cover them when we take breaks. We'll wrap them up while we walk around the studio and things like that. But like each of us have like a plush chaise in our studio space. But then again, at Red Tree, I think we're all mindful enough and we watch, and we're not having our clients sit on the plush when they've got exposed like weeping tattoo. Like, we've got enough unupholstered furniture to, I think,
as we're mindful enough to be watching our clients and stuff and seeing if stuff like that's happening.
But I have definitely walked into a tattoo studio and you see like the microfiber couches sitting there and they've just got like a layer of grime all over them, and you don't know if it's sweat from people resting their arms. You don't know if it's
really gross.
You know what I mean? Like we've seen it. We've all seen it. And it's one of those like
studios too, because they're really nice, old, like fashioned, good looking couches, but they're also super grimy and old, just like a nice vintage,
it just makes you
old
wonder, like, is that just body funk and sweat and they didn't take the time to clean and condition it, or is that
just old
tattoo grime? ugh. Because some clients are mindful, some clients aren't.
See, that's the
Some
thing.
tattoo
I
artists
think
are
we can
very
be as mindful
diligent.
as possible, but it's, you
Mhm.
are always going to get people that are just not mindful, just don't care. And even if,
But that's where it's our responsibility
Yeah.
to watch like hawks, even because we can't put it on the
just
client.
cover the
We can't
tattoo.
put it on the client. They don't know. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
mean, hopefully, if you're listening to this, you know now that like
Yeah.
don't contaminate things.
And also you are contaminating yourself. If you have a big giant open wound and you're touching things where other people have touched their open wounds, you are now, this is what we have to get taught hardcore. I mean, that's why I think we should teach people a little bit.
Yeah.
Cross contamination can get you sick. It doesn't have to be AIDS, it doesn't have to be hepatitis, but just open wounds, you're open to any sickness you can get so much easier.
Oh yeah. If we started listing all of the gross micro skin things that are going on, and then the gross micro blood things that can go on, like I don't know. That's why like we're definitely overkill with our barriers. Like everything is both covered and then sprayed and wiped down. Like everything's got like 2 layers of protection
There's
with
no
it.
chance of
You know what I
any
mean?
any life forms
Yeah. And
surviving us.
yeah, with tattooing in this day and age, so many parts of it are disposable that like if your artist is careful, there's so little risk of cross contamination. But that like as a client getting up and walking through the studio, like let's say a client gets up, they have to use the restroom, I'm working on a half sleeve and they bump into the doorway. If I don't see that, nobody thinks to wipe that off, and now that's contaminated. If I put my hand on it, now my hand's contaminated. So that's why it's
Right.
like clients, it's very helpful to be mindful, but artists need to be diligent and like watch our client. Like if we know the client isn't savvy about the
Right.
etiquette, and it's not a problem if they aren't.
And we got to
But
forgive them for they
as
may not
artists, we just need to be diligent and make sure that our clients aren't accidentally cross-contaminating other parts of the
know.
studio.
Right. We can't be ignorant of it and just
Mhm.
assume that they know.
Mhm. Or like, have you ever seen the client who's like waiting to pay at the counter and they're like peeling their bandage off and like looking and like touching and like,
Always. Half of everybody wants to touch their tattoo, and it's like, oh, I'm like, come on, man, wipe them down again.
Yeah. But some people don't realize, like they think it's their own finger, they're not contaminating it, but really now you're contaminating your finger. And when you touch the door handle, now everybody that touches that door handle after you is
Right,
going to
there's
come
10
in
more
contact
things
with
that
your
are-
microbes.
Yeah, there's 10 more things that are about to contain your DNA.
Disgusting.
Yeah, we don't like that. And
Yeah, it's
we
the
can see the
trace.
invisible world. We've been trained to see that invisible world. We watch it, and if we see it, it stays there. Like I see the memory. You know what I mean? Like if I like watch a tattoo artist and I didn't see them wash their hands, I'm now seeing everything that they touch on the way back there, and I'm like, okay, that handle, that piece of paper there, that is, that.
Mhm.
Honestly, I don't see that at Red Tree ever, but I've been in so many different studios, where it's like I have seen that kind of stuff, and it just.
No, I think our whole team is really pretty diligent. Like I mean,
But in terms of seeing hot spots, I mean, still, I've just been trained for that in life. You know what I mean? Like where things have been touched. Like, what did I just touch? What am I touching now with dirty hands? If I got clean hands, what am I touching now that's making my hands dirty?
Yep. I've actually like watched other tattoo artists set up and tear down, and it's like, oh, like some people get in their mind they've got a clean hand and a dirty hand. Like when a hand is contaminated and when it's not. And some artists have more inexperienced artists sometimes don't have like a grasp of that, like that subconscious, like when a hand is contaminated versus when it's not, when you need to change that glove and get a new one versus, you know what I mean? Like sometimes there are times where like Jordan and I both work off of these rolling stations, and sometimes I'll just like touch like my machine and my stack of paper towels and I'll like move things around. And like, even though I've only touched things that were covered, it's just like, I've touched so many things. I feel like I need to change my gloves, and I do, even though everything that I touched is something new. And for this, it's just that like mental, like I've touched a lot of stuff. So I need to change
it's
my
not
gloves.
sterile anymore once you've done that. Once things have been exposed to the air and now sitting on something exposed to anything in the air, anything.
Yeah.
There's still those little
Yeah, it's
chances.
like that moment when you're just getting ready to start and you're just like situating things and you're like getting everything where it needs to be. And you're like, well, I've touched 94 things.
Yeah, I feel like I
So-
always, right before I start a tattoo, whether, I'll be in full setup position, I'll be there, I'll get the inks laid out, I'll be right there ready, and then I'll still be like, I just touched all these different things. I'm, definitely going to change my gloves and now start.
Yep. Yeah, and sometimes that's a nice, just like, here we go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, new start,
Yep.
fresh start.
But at the same time, sometimes I'll get in a groove and it's like, I haven't changed my glove in 3 hours. I need to change my gloves. So there's that as well. Like, because I'm just like so into what I'm doing.
Zone, no break.
Yeah. And like and I don't, maybe, hopefully most artists know this, but maybe some don't. Like, even if you're not taking breaks every couple of hours, like I am, to make you take your gloves off and change them, or you're not like needing to do other things where you re-glove, you should re-glove like every hour or hour and a half, just because the oils and stuff in your hands, they start to break down the nitrile, and latex breaks down in a different way. And if you have any like latex sensitivities or any other chemical sensitivities from like what's in the gloves, if you're changing your gloves more frequently, then those chemical breakdowns aren't leaching into your skin, causing irritations. So like, in addition to like maintaining the integrity of the glove, but also maintaining your skin health, change your gloves like every hour, even if they're not contaminated, just as a word of advice. Just like, it's a funny little thing that like, keep your hands healthy, keep your skin healthy,
I think
as an artist.
I break every hour, like even if it's for just like 2 minutes, I make sure. I've been getting into a lot of zones lately where I'm just going 3-4 hours, if not the entire appointment, no breaks, except for like maybe a 2, 3 to 5 minute every hour. And like, that's been pretty nice. But where was I going with that?
You're just doing a quicker stand-up stretch, re-glove, resituate.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, yep. So doing that, definitely changing the gloves every hour. But I think honestly, if you got gloves on for 3 hours, and let's just start it out with, of course, you should have washed your hands before you put those gloves on. But let's say you did not do that, and then you put those gloves on hands that were dirty. Maybe they weren't dirty and see anything on them, but definitely full of microbes if you touched 20 things before you came in, if not, everything the day before or the morning before. Then you put those gloves on, everything in there now is the perfect environment for 3 hours to sit and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. So then when you take your gloves off, there's a lot more germs on your hands. Your hands are any sort of smell you smell coming from that. If there's a sweaty smell or anything that comes from your hands, that's bacteria that you're smelling.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's, I don't think that's really something to worry about a ton, but it's also like, if you're trying to be cleaner, that's just things that we think about, things that I think about.
Yeah. No, I wear small gloves. I should probably wear medium, but I like my gloves to be nice and tight and have no wrinkles. Like, I'd prefer them to be a little tight than a little big. So that's something I've got to be mindful of, because like, I don't know, my fingers are even really long. So like when I stretch, it'll split right here. Like, I'll just, and it'll split, and it's like, time to change my gloves. And so that sometimes it doesn't even take an hour for that to happen. But like I said, I'm wearing a smaller size than I probably should, because I like the way they fit. But like, that lets me know like the glove, like the integrity of the glove is compromised after you've been wearing it for so long. So it's a funny segue that we just jumped down, but tattooers, don't be afraid to change your gloves. Change them a lot. Collectors, look for your artist to change their gloves often. That's a good sign. If your artist is every few minutes throwing a pair of gloves away, like, that's, yes, it's kind of wasteful, but like, that's what it takes to keep you safe and us safe. So
and don't skimp on gloves, because they're twice as expensive as they used to be. It sucks for all of us. If you can go longer, but I mean, make sure you're still staying clean with them.
Don't skimp because gloves are more expensive. Wear the gloves properly, I think. Right.
I still treat my gloves exactly the same, and it's just another hit. When it's another hit I don't even think about, I pretend they were never cheaper in the first place.
Right.
Because what good is it gonna
it's a necessity.
What good is it gonna do thinking about it? It's I'm gonna have to pay for it either way.
But on the flip side, there are some things that have gotten way cheaper, like our drape sheets. Nicer and cheaper.
Cheap as fuck.
Yeah, I love them.
$8 or something like that for, a bunch of them, real nice. Super nice.
It's almost like Tyvek.
I'll never go back to blue ones.
So the trade-off is the gloves might cost a little bit more, but some of the other supplies are really starting, like the different barriers we're using are coming down in cost. Also, a lot of them are becoming biodegradable too. There's a few, there are ones that we carry at True Tattoo Supply, but there's also a bunch of other brands out there of like
Right.
the biodegradable
I hope we
plastics.
get to a point to
and-
where we only have that option, because I'm still in the habit of not getting those. They're a little bit, seem to be a little bit more expensive and get a little bit less.
I don't necessarily do the
True Tubes,
biodegradable
I'm not
stuff.
sure. I'm not sure how we exactly are doing that. I love that we have all of our eco stuff, and I do want to switch over, but it seems over the years,
Yeah.
with different companies,
Yeah, I
how
don't.
that's been. I just would love it if, like, one day True Tubes is like all eco, and then we had no other option, and all of the eco stuff worked just the way we wanted it to. I'm not dogging it and saying it
I
doesn't.
hope for a day in
just
the
haven't made- I
future
haven't
where
made the
all
switch.
of our tattoo supplies are made out of hempcrete, like a hemp resin instead of like this plastic resin. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Because they can make hemp resin that's as strong as Lexon, and I think Lexon's what they use for.
All what do we all
Yeah.
the plastics?
It's just a fantasy I've always had. Once hemp can be used for more industrial applications, I would
So
love
if
for all
we
of
were
our
to-
tattoo supplies to be made of hemp resins. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
We go through a
100%
lot of supplies.
biodegradable, 100% renewable.
I like it.
We need to have hemp in the tattoo community. That's
like
what we
it.
need. This is my fantasy. But right now, I think most of the plastics are like plant-based plastics for the biodegradable barrier companies and stuff that are out there.
Nice.
I definitely don't knock any of them. Personally, I just try to reuse as many of the materials as we can. Like, you know how the packaging to the grips, the foam grips, that packaging is actually like, if you peel it off clean, that you can use as a rinse cup. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've loved that forever. Like, it's all got to go in the trash anyways, but if we can use it multiple times before it goes in the trash, that's putting a dent in the problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little step, but like, because I can reuse these two packages in this way, I don't have to then buy rinse cups. I don't have to then have more rinse
Right.
cups that I'm just
Being
throwing
smarter
away.
even about your packaging and
Yeah.
stuff, what you can get away with. Not get away with, but utilize.
Yep. All right.
I like
Let's
that.
say, okay, so your client showed up, they brought their favorite pillow and blanket. You're getting ready to get started on them. What kind of pep talk do you give somebody that's jumping right into their very first large tattoo session? Like, you're set up, you're ready to go, you've done your end. You're literally like in the chair 5 minutes before you're starting.
That's a good question. Well,
Like, let's
I would
say,
describe to them.
let's say we're working on a sleeve too, just for,
I would, of course, I'm gauging how they're feeling and think, I probably, I would probably ask them, if they're nervous or not and stuff. If they say they're nervous, I'll probably, say something like, honestly, feels like kitten scratches, not that bad. We'll start out real small, we'll get a little bit more into it, but I'll be like, it feels like kitten scratches. I'm like, you ever like played with a kitten and, it's like, it hurts. They scratch the shit out of you. They bite the shit out of you and it hurts, but like, you still play with them and you still want to play with that kitten. So you keep doing it. You take your hand away and you're full of scratches and it hurts and it kind of burns, but you still love playing with that kitten.
that's a fantastic analogy. I've never heard you say that before. That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like that's a common one for me to say to my clients.
Mhm.
And I feel like that usually kind of gets the point across. It's an interesting way to say that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll tattoo them. I'm like, okay, that wasn't that bad. And if it's their first tattoo, I can promise you, I'm not going to start the tattoo in their armpit. I'm not going to start the tattoo in the areas that are the worst. We'll start in a reasonable area and then kind of work from there. And I don't lie to my clients. Like, I'm not going to tell them like that a tattoo's not going to hurt. They'll know. I try not to worry people at all. I hope I'm never too callous or anything like that.
One thing I like to talk to my clients about is like, when we're in the bad spots and it seems like I'm just brutalizing you, it's really because the only way I can make this better for you is to get you out of pain. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not holding you down and like being brutal. I can make this take 10 minutes or I can baby you and it can take an hour, but it's going to suck just as much the whole time. So that's kind of like a little part of the pep talk I have for my clients is like, when we're on your elbow, when we're on your ditch, like usually I'll look at them and I'll be like, okay, here we go. Are you ready? And like, usually I'll go from like an easy area so that they can like kind of build up to it. But then there's this like, it's like the more painful of an area that I'm in, the more concentrated I am to make sure that I am being mindful and efficient with their pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the clock, but like I call it cruel to be kind. That's what I tell my clients, is I'm being cruel to be kind right now because the only thing I can do is get you out of pain quickly. And then once we do, there's usually like, I lay the Bactine on, every chance that it's helpful, I lay the Bactine on, and like I literally like watch them catch their breath. And as soon as like I feel like their body's ready and like I've got my color loaded, it'll be like, okay, here we go again, and I let them know, like, but it's this like ebb and flow of like, this is gonna suck for a few minutes, about 45 seconds at a time, but once I'm done, I'm gonna be done.
Yep.
And there's just that like, the urgency is their pain. So I do kind of like, it feels brutal, but it's just because I don't want it to take forever. You know what I mean? It's because I'm trying to get it in as efficiently as possible. So there are those moments where like some of my clients are like, Vaughn, why do you hate me? It's like, I don't hate you. I just know you hate this. So there's that feeling where like, I feel like I feel like that's where we're almost like coaches, once we start talking about the transformative parts of the sessions, where it's like, okay, this is going to suck bad, but hold on tight.
And
I'm right here with you, and we're going to get through it.
That stuff means so much to the client. Like a lot of artists don't do that. Like, I mean, I assume they do, because that's kind of how I am. I'm pretty like coachy with it. When people are hurt, and I try to be sympathetic. I don't go any lighter or anything like that while I'm tattooing, but I'll be more sympathetic, and like, we'll try to manage your pain in a better way. But I do hear from a lot of people that come to me get tattoos that talk about other artists who have been a bit more, just rude, right to the point, like, more pain the better type artists, or, just like, yeah, it's a tattoo. Don't bitch. I don't want to hear you bitch. It's going to piss me off if you start bitching. And I don't know. I just like to treat people with patience. Just to try to. I'm being at Red Tree. We're pretty blessed with our clients.
Yeah.
Personally, with the clients that I get some bumpy requests sometimes, and I get some people that are a little odd, maybe just like we said, don't always know the things to ask. They don't know a lot about tattooing, and they just don't know how to approach things, so maybe they approach it weird, or they're just weird personality.
Part of
but
it
good
just simply
intentions and
goes back
stuff.
to the like I keep saying, like the knowledge gap between like the everyday that we know, and like there's even just a language gap. Sorry, I sent messages to our Instagram. Now both of our phones are going bananas.
I was like, is that my phone ringing?
It's not an Amber Alert, I don't believe. But it's just one of those examples of like, there's just a knowledge gap. Like a client just literally may not have the language to put their ideas from their brain into words. And that's something that not everybody has the skill to do. So as collectors, don't get discouraged. Like if you struggle with finding words, like you can put that in your like inquiry request. Like I really have a hard time putting my ideas into words. And that alone might even get your artist's attention.
So God, if you say that to me, I mean, give me the understanding, please. I mean, talk to me like a human as well.
Yeah.
Put in the request like a human, where it's like, maybe I don't, even if you say, I'm really I have a problem with being controlling, and I do just want to open up and let you do your thing, but might be picky or something like that. Like, at first I'm like, okay.
Well, and here's the thing.
Like, I don't even want to recommend approaching like that.
Sometimes when we read something, it'll seem like somebody's coming off as very anal and detail oriented, and it's like, oh man, I'm never even going to be able to make this person happy. But in reality, they're just bad at describing their ideas, and they've overthought it to the point where they come off as a control freak. And then when we meet them in person, they're so chill and like, oh yeah, we can totally do what you want. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just somebody that's not in the know tries so hard that they miss the mark. And that's one of the things that we want to help prevent is like, even if that first contact, if you don't hear back from your artist, or even if you hear like you get recommended to another artist is recommended to you, or like if the conversation goes in a way you didn't want it to, it's okay. Like you can apply again, like you can rethink your idea, or think about the same idea and just think about the words you used to describe it. Or the next time you apply, just word the whole thing differently. Like, no, I know you're the artist. For me, I just have a really hard time describing my ideas. Like sometimes, like if my manager, Emily, showed me a message that was like that, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely schedule a consultation. And if I'm not the artist, we'll find them the right artist while I'm right there with them. That's one of the nice things about having like an hour or an hour and a half for each consultation is even if we can't come to a middle ground, I've got the time to like, here's the artist. If I were getting an idea like this is the artist I would go to. And when you can have that conversation with somebody and you're honest about it, usually they're grateful and, you know, they get lined up with the right artist and everything clicks, you know. And especially like if you've met somebody in person and it's like, oh, okay, you can even message the artist like, hey, this is so and so, I'm having a consultation right here and I think this client needs to come to you. If I get messages like that from other artists, I'm already like, oh, well, I mean, if you think I'm the one for them, there's got to be something that lines up with what I'm doing. Like if you're taking the time to recommend me out of the other hundreds of artists in Columbus or in Ohio or wherever. So that's one of those, like, it's just so important to bridge the gap, just because we all want to be helpful, you know, we all want you to get good tattoo work, but like sometimes it's just discouraging when you don't get the reply that you expected, or maybe like you didn't get your application in time and their books are closed already. You know, sometimes you can still message, and you know, sometimes if you word it right, you can still get through, you know, or sometimes if you're totally vague with it, like I keep saying, like if you just simply say, I'm really bad at discussing my visual ideas in words, but I really love your work and it makes me feel some type of way, like you can be vague like that and still get an artist's attention.
Right. But I can almost promise you that if an artist, if you come at them with like the opposite work that they do, or like just come at them with an idea that you really want that artist to do it, but it's an idea that's just so, it's completely different than what their stuff is, you know. If they're not busy and they reply to you, that's awesome. But I think there's a good chance that it's going to take a lot longer for them to reply to you. It's, you know, if they're really booked up, you're going to be probably farther back in line and stuff, because just to sit, if an artist has got 100 appointments plus that they have to sit through,
it's hard to rise to the top of the pack.
You have to kind of skim over and prioritize which ones, who's like, okay, what are the projects? Because you have to pick and choose. You can't just say, oh, all these people are going to get in. You just don't have that kind of time. That doesn't exist. You have to pick and choose which ones are you got to prioritize the pieces.
Yep.
And so, you know, come at your artist with something that's in line with the work that they actually do. You're probably going to get a response a lot quicker.
Let's talk about, what haven't we talked about yet? Tattoo time, we've talked about. How about aftercare? Once you're wrapping up, what kind of aftercare advice do you have? Because we all have a few different aftercares that we use depending on the area. We've got the tattoo armor, we've got the dermalized Sanoderm tattoo shield stuff.
I definitely have what I recommend. I have what I get away, not what I get away with, but you know, what, you know, my traditional ways of healing a tattoo, and then what's like going to be really good, and then what I feel like each piece kind of needs. You know, sometimes I like using Sanoderm. Well, where should I even start with this? I think, you know, from the end of the tattoo, we'll go from, we just finished up a tattoo. What my normal process would be, you know, I'm going to clean you off. We're going to take pictures, probably gonna clean you off again. If I use soap, I'm going to wipe you off with water after that. And then, you know, either depending on how big the piece is, if you have like an entire sleeve and we've just covered a huge amount of ground, or it's anything more, if it's anything more than a quarter sleeve, we're probably going to do some plastic wrap and then, you know, send you home like that. And as soon as you get home, you're going to start your aftercare procedure, which, you know, we'll go into in a minute. I think anything that's like a quarter sleeve. I don't really do it for half sleeves. Quarter sleeves will be either Sanoderm or the Tattoo Armor. I like the Tattoo Armor a lot, but I'm out of that stuff. So I haven't used that in a minute.
You're out of it? Do you know how cheap it is?
It's really cheap.
Yes. Super cheap. It's like $10 a pack.
But that's what I recommend. I honestly,
$1 a bandage.
the
Jordan.
Tattoo Armor or that, we don't need to go super plug-in stuff, but like that type of bandage where I like Tattoo Armor because that's the one I know right now.
The nice thing about Tattoo Armor,
pads.
Let's talk
like,
about what we like about Tattoo Armor.
That's a specific one because it's just got that spongy light material that's not going to grow to your tattoo. It's not cheeseclothy, where the gauze is all thick and stuff. And
the nice feedback that I get for it is that when clients take like their shower the next morning with like if you have a large tattoo and like saran wrap's your only option, when you take that off the next day, you've got like it's like tattoo boogers. It's like the stretchy, stringy, slimy of like the plasma that's coagulated with all the blood. So you get these colorful like boogers all over your shower. It's the grossest. They're slimy. They make you feel dirty. It really is. It's gross. I don't like it. But with the Tattoo Armor, it wicks all of that moisture away, so it doesn't have a chance to build that film on your tattoo. So when you remove the Tattoo Armor, it's just totally clean. And it's like a soft, like we call them like puppy pads. And I don't know how similar or different they actually are, but they look like a puppy pad, but they're just super duper soft and absorbent on the one side. And then the other side is like a plastic barrier. I'll actually take that and I'll take the like the Coban, the tattoo wrap, the stretchy, like disposable ace type wrap. And I'll wrap that all the way around. So it's got compression and they've got like a cast for the first day.
Nice.
I've really been enjoying
honestly,
that.
If I was to recommend a prime method to do it, it would be that. But, I just want to be honest to people, don't be worried if that's what your artist does is wrap up your stuff with saran wrap. I mean, my tattoos heal up really, really good. And I'm more impressed with how they heal up than what I expect. But also with like what Fawn's talking about in the Tattoo Armor. And when I use that, I'm going to get an even better healing. Like it is,
it's just more comfortable for the client.
It's better. Yeah, it's comfy. But I'm also a sucker for air healing and just kind of being easy with it and just letting it do its thing as long as you are washing it and keeping it clean.
I like it when we can work it out with my clients that they have like their tattoo day with me. And then they've also got a day or two afterwards to heal. That's always the best because they're in their home, they're in their own environment. They're not going to be exposed to anything new because they're in their like biome. You know what I mean? And then like if we do the Tattoo Armor and they just Tattoo Armor home, remove it the next day, and then just air heal, it seems like the easiest. Like,
yeah,
I'm just really impressed with that bandage. And I think the magic is that it's actually wicking the moisture away.
Yeah.
Where the cool thing about like, so ADWs, the adherent dermal wraps, those are actually, I had a little lesson. They're called occlusive wraps. They're not inclusive. They occlusive things. They exclude things. They keep things out. So they're called occlusive bandages. That's what they're actually called.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I kind of like ADW better. But I just felt like since I learned this new knowledge, they're called occlusive bandages.
Right.
And that's what like the dermal ice would be. The reinventing, one of the reinventing sponsors. It's an occlusive wrap, but I still want to call it an ADW.
Okay.
Is that okay? Now that we like officially know it's wrong, but can we still call them ADWs?
That is okay. I think so.
We still can.
Yeah, we'll be okay.
Because I like ADW.
I like ADWs. OW's too quick. OW's too quick.
Okay.
But there's something also just to be said about that plasma, though. I kind of like. So when
I was going to say the magic about that is your body is supposed to then reabsorb that plasma. So it's kind of like you've got the barrier and then a film of your body's your body's soup, basically.
Because I feel like I get the best healings, like even on my body. Like I've had the best healings on my body when I've had that plastic wrap on for a few hours. Usually I'm traveling, so even like I don't recommend it to people, but it's something that works out for me. Is I'll keep the wrap on all night, even while I'm sleeping, just because I don't want to touch in the bed and everything like that. And like I'll have my whole entire back covered or like my whole entire arm covered. And honestly, I feel like way my brain registers is like it heals so much quicker in like a couple days, and I just go through like the flaking stage way quicker. But I feel like the plasma is creating this barrier between everything because it's just so wet and so slimy, and it's so extra slimy when I do that. It takes so long to wash it all off, just like
That's
on
the tattoo
sand,
boogers.
all the boogers and stuff. But I feel like that created this barrier where my body was able to like super heal overnight, where it just created a protective barrier for everything to really just start healing. All the white blood cells are
It
there.
allows our
Everything is,
body to heal more
and it's
efficiently.
and you're still using your
Mhm.
own juices and body to do that. You're
Mhm.
not using some foreign, whatever lotion, tattoo lotion we put on you. Like that stuff's all going to be great, and it really is going to help you heal, and it's wonderful. But also your own body heals
Yeah.
really well if it's, if it's clean. If they washed you off really good and put that bandage on there, and you kept that on there, and there was not much airborne bacteria, that's going to stay pretty clean for a little while. But we do recommend 2 hours. Don't leave it on all night.
I'll have my clients leave it on and then replace it in the morning, or like depending on what we've
You will
tattooed
tell
for
them.
the
You will
day.
tell them in the morning. Yeah, I guess you do get done at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. I want them to just go ahead and sleep in it and then
Yeah.
take care of it in the morning. But like all of these things that we're saying, this is why like every tattoo is different, every tattooer is different. And like in my cabinet alone, I have 3 different methods of aftercare that I'm going to send you home with. Sometimes I send people home with little jars of like the tattoo glides, so they can use those as aftercare. So like they don't even have to like just throw this in your pocket, keep it with you for the next couple of days. When you run out of this, get some, Aquaphor, or whatever you recommend. But like even on the same client, even on the same project on the same client, I might do different aftercare methods. I might be like, well, we're going to run with Sanoderm this time because of this. And here's how I want you to take care of it. And then the next time we might do something totally different because I've tattooed, even though it's the same project, maybe a totally different
Right.
area, or like I tattooed more of you, or you know what I mean? Or maybe even I tattooed less of you, but it was so detailed and there's just so much in that spot. Like there's all these variables. So like, don't think it odd if different artists recommend different things, or even if the same artist recommends different things. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah,
all over
absolutely.
depending on the
Absolutely.
project.
That's one of the biggest things I would say. And that's kind of what I was saying about this, the wrap in general. Because, of course, we want to talk about the tattoo armor and like these best ways to heal. And I feel like there's so many people, so many artists that are going to, try to tell you about exactly how they do it. And, they have the habit of doing it their way. And that's going to be the best way to heal and stuff. And there are so many different ways. And I change up how I do things all the time. And I usually do it depending on the piece or where I'm growing to, or, just my habits at the time, but I know they're all going to work, and I know what's working at the time.
Yep. Bottom line, there's no one right or wrong way.
And as a client, you also can figure out your own way. You figure out what you like. And if you're coming to me as someone who's already been tattooed a lot, you're healing, and you can tell like, okay, you like saran wrap, or you like an ADW, or you like some tattoo armor style thing.
I've
cool.
actually
Like
learned from
now
some
you
clients.
know your body. That's really awesome. We don't have to spend the time figuring out what's right for you. You know what's right for you, and we'll see if it's right for the way I tattoo. But for the most part, it's probably going to be.
Yeah, I've actually learned from some clients. Like it's kind of nice when you get like a heavy collector that's already covered from head to toe, and they've got old work and new work, and it all looks nice. And you can be like, "What do you do?" I've had some people shock me and tell me like, I've used bag balm for years, and that's all I've used. And that's, it works. Why change it? It's like, really? I never would have guessed, and that's like a true life story. One of my collectors, he tried a whole bunch of different things. He's a very avid motorcycle rider. So like when he's talking about his chapped skin and his tattoos healing while his skin is chapped because he's going on motorcycle rides, like he's like serious. So for him, like nothing was like, even Aquaphor wasn't like rich enough to really do what it needed to do. So he started using bag balm. He like went old school with it, and he has great heals. Like even the bright, colorful, like new, more technical work that I'm doing on him recently, like it still heals up great. And like, even though I'm like, oh, I wish you'd use Aquaphor, I wish you'd use this, I wish you'd use shea butter, like he still like is die hard with the bag balm, but his heals are fantastic. So I can't like,
right.
He has found what works for his body, and he has found a regimen that works for him. So in this situation, like, let's say I have another client who has a similar lifestyle, similar, like, my skin's just beat up because I'm like on my motorcycle all the time. I'm either in the sun or in the cold all the time. I can then be like, so this is what worked for this other client. You know what I mean? Like, now I have that because he figured out what worked the best for him. Like, is that something I would recommend to everyone? Absolutely not. But if there was somebody that lived like a similar lifestyle and like just needed that extra, because what bag balm is doing, it's not absorbing into the skin like Aquaphor, shea butter, or other tattoo glides. It's not absorbing at all. It's literally just creating a barrier. But like, if he's very clean when he applies that barrier, you know, it's actually more of like a shield. He's protecting it with the bag balm rather than nourishing it. But if he's protecting it, his body can then get that itty bitty micro layer of plasma, and that thin layer of plasma between like the petroleum of the bag balm and the tattoo can do the magic. Like what you were saying with the saran wrap. I mean, you've got that layer, your body's naturally doing cool things.
It's one of those things. If you know your way, because like, you know, I totally hear that, and that's his bag balm. If that's what works for him, that's awesome. But I would don't go buy bag balm. I don't know what that stuff is, but I don't like.
It's a petroleum based.
Sounds weird, but
yeah, it's just
not
old
too bad.
school.
But
it's an old school like petroleum based. It's a basically like
A&D is petroleum based too.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
they started making it for
But if
cow
it's
udders,
Vaseline, you don't want to put it on you.
They started making it for cow udders back in the day because, you know, their udders get all chapped and cracked, and then people started using it on their hands and their own skin, and it's just one of those staples for like old school skincare. But it's really just the petroleum is creating a barrier. So it's not that it's really doing anything to help the tattoo process at all, other than kind of creating like a micro bandage to trap the plasma.
For the amount of money that you're spending on a tattoo,
yeah, get the good stuff.
Get the good stuff. It costs nothing. Like if you're spending $1,000 on a tattoo, it's rare. I feel like it's rare that the mindset is, I really can't spend another $20.
Yeah, for
if
him,
you're spending $1,000, you should not only have $1,000 left in your bank account.
Yeah, for this client in particular, it's not a money thing.
No money
He's just so hard on his skin and body that, like, you know, the healing process is a little bit different for him. So, you know, but I'm just using that as an example of like,
yeah, and I don't mean to dog on his thing, but
I'm saying I would not give that advice to.
Right.
That would not be my everyday collector aftercare advice.
Moral being.
But I'm just saying,
you know your body.
Yeah, I'm just using that as an example of he learned what worked the best for him, and it continues to work. And, you know, I've tattooed multiple limbs, and it's worked for like 12 years that I've been tattooing him. So it's one of those, like, even though he's tried the shea butters, he's tried, like I keep mentioning the aqua, like we went through the gauntlet. He tried After Ink, he tried Hustle Butter, and none of them were like that. Like, I think he just really needs a barrier just because it's, you know, and he rides all year round. So if I work on him in the winter and he goes for one ride, his whole body's going to be dry and chapped. Right. So, and like we were saying at the beginning, you want your skin to be hydrated, you want your skin to be healthy, but he's just exposing himself to so many elements that, like, you know, just makes it a little bit harder for his skin to heal. But you have that sometimes.
Yep.
It's just, and that's just like an added variable. That's an added variable that tattooers always have to deal with, is like each client heals differently and has different lifestyles.
What do you not recommend people do? Like, what are some things you can do that could really destroy your healing and really be bad to your healing? Like, how, like, what do you consider negligent?
So to segue off of the bag balm conversation, I don't typically recommend anything.
Bag balm, like, that would be,
I don't recommend anything.
If any of my clients came to me and said they put bag balm, you would
look at them like they were crazy.
That would be negligent to me. But like you said, if you really know, and I see my tattoos coming back healing really well, like, okay, cool, that was one of those, you know, you took a risk.
It works.
The risk worked out. That's lucky, but like, it could have turned out way worse. And if you've been cross-contaminating that bag balm for however long, Like you could end up with some fucking sepsis or some shit like that. Like you never know.
No, he's pretty clever and nuanced about it. So,
And that's all okay. I don't mean to go deeper into that for him. He's cool.
But I try to recommend to stay away from anything petroleum based. So bag balm is petroleum with like, I think there's like menthol and things like that in it. So there's like medicated essential oils in it, basically. But I usually recommend to stay away from anything petroleum based, just because all it does is create a barrier. And if you create a
It tends to
barrier, what can
suffocate.
happen is you can trap bacteria within that barrier. So
like-
that's where it's like, I don't think it's worth rolling the dice to use petroleum products, whether
get a
you're
goopy-
using
you get-
Vaseline.
it's the oilness of it too.
Mhm.
You have it. It doesn't really go away. It's there, and it's there until it's wiped off.
Mhm. Yeah,
And,
your skin
it'll
doesn't
kind of
absorb
dry up. There's
petroleum.
moisture in it that will evaporate, but that moisture is going to kind of stay there. And it's good if people really need to moisturize their skin. But when you're trying to heal a wound, it doesn't allow any air exchange. And that's why an ADW works out, is because there's air exchange. You have to change saran wrap because there's no air exchange. You
Mhm.
need air exchange.
Right.
And having petroleum based product A and D and stuff like that, not super recommended, but stuff like that works because it's not 100% Vaseline.
So what Jordan's talking about when he
Vaseline.
says air exchange, because you've said it a couple of times, that's a good word choice. But the thing with the adhesive wraps that we talk about all the time, so they are a barrier. They're not going to let plasma exit or enter. They're not going to let water exit or enter. But like on the microscopic level, there is an exchange of gases. So oxygen and carbon dioxide can still slowly pass through that barrier while keeping all of the contaminants on the other
It's still
side.
permeable.
So yeah, so when Jordan says air exchange, that's something that's characteristic to those bandages only. So that does make them special. And that's why there are like certain tattooers will only use those, or there are certain parts of the body where they're just more helpful. It just all depends, but that's the special thing about the AD doubles.
Yeah,
ADWs.
they're different than saran wrap. They
Mm-hmm.
don't just stick on the skin to hold your stuff in place. They stick on there and they hold your stuff in place, but they still breathe. They still
Yep.
breathe. Saran wrap does not breathe.
Yep. While we're talking about the ADWs again, let's talk about the removal. So one of the things I like to
Ouch.
share with people
Ow.
is,
Ow.
there is a trick to removing the ADWs. You know what a command hook is, right? The 3M command hooks.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about?
How you
They've
take
got the
those
like
off real
the
close.
tab. So what you want to do if your artist uses an ADW on you, or if you just like have this bandage on you for other reasons, you want to like work a corner loose. Once you work like just a little corner loose, or if you happen to have a little wrinkle in it anywhere, grab that wrinkle and like stretch it. And as you stretch it, you'll hear it and feel it like.
And if you're at home and comfy, do it in the shower.
Oh yeah,
it's the best place.
I would say do it in the shower for sure. Just because like if you do have any plasma still trapped under there, it's just going to be easier just to like clean it up. But if it's totally dry, sometimes
hopefully you
just
have a
running
home
that
in the
warm
shower.
water just feels good, and it helps that adhesive release as you like stretch it. A lot of times if it's been used on me, I'll like stretch it so far that it like tears and I have to grab another little and pull it. So like for me, I like stretch it so
Yeah.
much that I'm babying the skin underneath.
I ain't gonna lie to you though. I mean, the shower helps. It
But
does help, but it is the worst band-aid you've ever taken off.
But
Over
if-
top
yeah.
of the healing tattoo.
If you peel it like a Band-Aid, you're removing more skin cells is what you're doing. So you don't want to remove any of the new, fresh, delicate skin cells. You want to stretch it so it releases the new skin
So
cells.
what are your opinions? I know how I feel, but what are your opinions on like, so you've put one of those wraps on, you want them to take it off 2 days afterwards. Normally, I don't recommend. I tell my clients,
I usually only tell my
well,
client.
hold on, because it's not the first part's not the real question, but
Okay.
so I tell my clients like, leave it on there for more, it says 2 days and then put a new one on. If you feel you need to do that, so on and so forth, bunch of details of why you might want to or might not want to take it off right away. But usually I recommend keeping it on for a few days. But when you do take it off, and let's say you take it off at day 2, your tattoo's not healed yet. I still feel as though it's very vulnerable. Like,
Absolutely.
to the peeling
So
process, like taking a
this
Band-Aid
is
and trying
why-
to peel off brand new healing skin.
This is why I am selective about the projects that I use it on. There are collectors that I think are more savvy with it. There are also collectors whose partners are collectors who can help rebandage it. Those are all variables when I decide whether I'm going to use it or not. Would I put Sanoderm on somebody's back who lived alone? Never in a million years.
Torture.
Never
Oh
in a
my
million
God, that would be the
years.
worst.
I wouldn't do that to
That'd be the
someone.
worst.
But if it's like, I've already worked on husband, now I'm working on wife, they're both savvy, they've both like taken care of each other while they're healing. I know they can both bandage one another. Like it's just another one of those variables. Like if this is something that like, I think this is going to be pretty weepy, I want you to replace this within 24 hours. Sometimes that's the case. Other times it's like, I don't think this is going to weep at all. This last little area, like these whites are still weepy, but nothing else is weeping. I'm just leave it on there for a few days. And so it just kind of depends. You know what I mean? Like it's another one of those, like there's just so many variables where it's a great
Right.
bandage if the application is right.
If it's starting to leak and stuff, then
Mhm.
take it off, sooner than later. But if it's still completely sealed up and great all around the edges, and it's not like gooping and real bad, leave it on for a few days. That plasma is sterile and it's going to be clean in there, and it's going to honestly heal your tattoo really well. But after like 3 or 4 days, that does start to get gross if it's super built up. But if you have no plasma buildup at all, and it is totally sealed up and clean, and seems to be anytime I've been putting it on, like
Mhm.
that's the way the heels have been. Like honestly, no plasma buildup
Mhm.
afterwards.
Yeah.
We wait long enough, I think, afterwards,
Mhm.
to wipe it, take the pictures, and do all that it does most of its seeping.
Yeah, giving it that
Wipe it
15,
off,
20
dry
minutes
it
or a
again.
half hour, that really makes a difference. Sometimes you can just like lay some witch hazel on it. Sometimes I use Bactine almost as like an astringent, just like kind of lay it on there and kind of like
Right.
wait for
Usually
those pores to close and seal up a little bit so they're not weeping as quickly.
that helps. I don't use the witch hazel. I should.
I haven't
kinda
in a
wanna
long
I kind
time,
of
but
want to
that is a
start,
good
but
trick.
it's
It's just like moisten a paper towel with witch hazel, like,
I think
and just lay it on
I
there
use a lot
and
of
you'll,
Bactine too, so I
Yep.
think that might help as well. Kind
Yep.
of restrict the blood vessels
Yep.
just enough to kind of keep things from
Mhm.
seeping hard.
Yep. It
But,
is helpful.
yeah, so 4-day heals or so. With Sanoderm, honestly, probably healed 2-3 days. I feel like
Mhm.
4 days and it's ready to come off. But say if it's totally on there, you could keep it up there, keep it on there 6 days. There's not a lot of bacteria building up if there's no space between.
So the
two.
other thing is sometimes if I use it on somebody and it's like, I know you're going to be sore tomorrow, come back in. And sometimes like if it's a, something where I think the Sanoderm is going to be the best bandage, but I know my client can't rebandage it themselves, I'll have them come back in, I'll take it off, I'll clean them, sometimes like before the start of a session or at the end of another session. But like if your artist is like, come back in tomorrow and let me change this bandage, then like when in those situations, then I'll tell my client just to leave it on for 4 or 5 days. You've worn it for 24 hours. I've then removed it, cleaned it thoroughly, replace the bandage. Now you don't have to worry about the seeping and weeping at all. And you can just be carefree for the next 4 days. So if you have an artist that insists that you come back in the next day, that's also not a crazy thing to happen. That's pretty normal. And that's just like a diligent artist that,
Right. Come back in tomorrow, we'll change your bandage.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just means that that artist wants to make sure it's rebandaged
They're
properly.
Thorough, definitely.
Yep.
Don't dock on the people that don't, because some people don't always do that. But
I mean,
it's
it
super
depends
thorough,
on
it's
the
awesome.
circumstance.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I've got clients that have really dirty jobs and I'm like, come in after work, I will rebandage
Exactly.
it and then you'll be good
There's
to go. It
different
just
variables,
depends.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's really nice to have all the different bandage options on deck. You know what I mean? Like I'm never like, I feel like by having all 3 options, I never have to compromise.
Yeah. It's a great idea. I think I do the same.
Yeah.
Right now I don't have any more of the tattoo armor, but I always got an ADW around.
Yep.
Because I do have clients that do insist they really want it. I'm like, if I don't have it, I mean, I'm sorry, like it's not, the way we're doing this right now, where you can bring in your own next time, or maybe I have some, but
we're kind of spoiled having the warehouse right outside too.
Right. So usually
we're really
so
spoiled.
when if I don't, I can just be like, I can go buy it if you really want it.
Our next break, I'll pick some up.
Exactly.
From 10 feet away.
Yeah, and I don't mind, but once you start, if you're, some people be insistent on wrapping a sleeve like that, and I won't do it. I won't wrap a sleeve. I won't wrap an entire arm in an ADW. It's just too much.
Yeah,
It's
it's
too
the
much.
swell factor for me. I like to leave room for swelling. Like if I'm doing one side or the other, or like one side or the other, or like maybe the elbow area, I'll wrap all the way around just because it's flexy. But like I don't even usually tattoo all the way around. So like if it's wrapped all the way around, it's really just to hold it more secure, but only one side's tattooed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's one, and it's just another one of
I see
those,
that.
like
I just
the
hate
variables are so
overlapping.
different.
I
Yeah.
hate overlapping them. I feel
Yeah,
in
you've got to keep that
in my
seam as
brain,
minimal as possible.
I
And
truly believe as soon as you wrap them, you've created saran wrap.
yeah, it's true. Like that's why you're supposed to cut it in little pieces and have as small overlaps as possible.
Mhm,
That way you've got the gas exchange.
mhm.
We've had some vocabulary today.
We have.
Today's lesson,
We're getting smart.
today's episode has been brought to you by
The alphabet.
gas exchange.
Grammar, vocabulary, and words. Words, lots of words. Oh, all right. Well, today was a good day.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff.
That was a good one.
Do you want to wrap up and save Instagram stuff for next time? Call it a short day, or you want to jump on Instagram and play around a little bit?
We can jump on Instagram quick.
Because you've got some cool stuff that you've done recently.
I haven't sent anything over though.
Okay. You posted something the other day.
Yeah,
Maybe it was just on your
I
story.
made the post. No, I made the post, so we can go to mine.
There we go.
Check out what she's been doing too.
Yeah.
I keep getting distracted because my goby is kind of mad. He wants food and he's not attacking, but getting mad at my clownfish.
Okay, I'm going to show you mine first, just because we're here. And then we'll go to Jordan's page. Oh, where are we? Sorry, too many windows, guys.
That's okay.
One of these days I'll learn how to do this. So this one is just my first session on this piece, but we got so much accomplished. So here is the marker and stencils. Oh. And then here's how far we got with it.
Oh, it's great. Very wintry. That white tree.
I got a video here I want to share.
This looks so good negative in front of all that dark blue and green.
Yeah. So Aurora Borealis, and then there's a lot of symbolism in like these images that we've chosen. So this will be like, you know, all snow-covered trees once we get it in there. But she grew up in Alaska, and on her lower arm, they're going to be like 3 wolf cubs as big as we can fit them, just kind of like
20% gray there.
No, that's all opaque grays and tans and
Oh, you got a few different colors in the tree.
Oh, that's just a little bit of blue that we've got tucked in there to like designate what's coming next. But
just trying to assess how much opaque gray you use in your stenciling processes, or when you use a lot of, you try to stay pretty color matchy.
Yeah, I either stay color matchy or I take like a real light muted version of the color. Like if something's going to have like, yeah, something like, let's say our shadow areas, a lot of times I like to exaggerate like a lavender or a blue cast on the bottom of things, just because I like to give it that cool under. So like, even if it's not really there, I'll exaggerate a lavender blue. So since I do that a lot of times you'll see the shadow side of things. I've actually kind of like very lightly outlined in like a mauve or like a muted, not like, I don't know, like a gray blue, or, you know, it's always on the purple blue spectrum that everything on the lower side is outlined. And then the top will either be black or it'll be whatever the rim light of the reflective top warm color is. So a lot of times I don't even outline my things in black anymore. What I ran into, like, so I was like, maybe I was at Studio 13 and Derek was working with me. So I was in my first year of tattooing and I was looking at his work and I was like, how do you not have gray in your bloodlines? And like when he'd put like wind bars through things, and like I knew to make like bloodlines out of a real light gray wash. He's like, you can just run that with like a clear, like you can do just distilled water if you've got like the keep it wet solution. And I mean, I use something a little bit different now, but like he recommended that like if it's a line that I needed in that session myself, that I could just
Bloodline
do it in
without
clear.
anything,
Yeah,
yeah.
just do it in clear, whatever my solution was, rinse, like whatever, just bloodline it. And then he would work up to that in color. And it was like, oh, then I don't even need to worry about camouflaging the gray line anymore. And he's like, bingo.
Right.
Sweet.
It works
Huge
great
epiphany.
in portraits and things like that.
Mhm.
Like bloodlines. Yeah, there's been so many things that's been.
Well, I had seen other artists use bloodlines, and like the way that I had seen another artist use them and I was observing it, it just seemed like it was extra trauma on the skin. And he'd go through and he'd outline like every letter in clear basically, and then he'd wipe his stencil away deliberately, and then he'd re-tattoo where the red welt was. So it was like,
Right? Is that extra trauma?
that
But-
was like, in my mind, it was just extra trauma and something that didn't make sense to me. But when I saw it used in a totally different way, it was like, oh, now I don't have to spend all this time blending out a gray that I didn't even really want to be visible anyway.
And if you work really soft with it and really fast with it, then you know you can do it. You can make that line there with such little amount of trauma.
But now if I do it like with a color that is like the color family that this item is going to be outlined in or whatever it is, I can just go through and just have like the softest, faintest lavender or gray or blue line to designate where the stencil is. I don't need to like fully commit my hard blacks or anything like that in the beginning. And it gives me a lot of opportunity to play with like which colors I want to be powerful and where as the piece develops. You know what I mean? If everything's just outlined in like muted, neutral versions of the color that's going to be there, then I can really explore and push and pull things. And I don't know, it just gives me what I feel it does is it gives me the freedom in my tattoos that I have in my paintings. The way that I play with color in my paintings, it allows me to have that freedom.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So those wolves, I actually like the lower side was actually outlined in like a real light powdery blue, just because I knew the snow was going to be reflecting on the lower side of everything. So if you get in close on those wolves, they're actually got the faintest like baby blue ridge on all of the fur on the lower side. But now next session, when I get all the snow in around it and then I come into them with the liner, I can even exaggerate those baby blues reflecting off of their coats more. So
Nice.
Fun little trick.
Okay, I like that.
And I said we weren't going to talk about tattoo stuff today.
Okay.
Hey.
How do we not? How do we not?
It happens by accident. It happens by accident. But the other thing about this piece is it probably took me about 6 hours to achieve that saturation in the sky on the Aurora Borealis. So I think there are some things with like my outer space and my sky scenes that like something is just clicking and it's going a lot quicker and things are becoming a lot smoother.
Like that.
Yeah, like the
Very
whole,
cool.
my stars, my little starbursts, the little Spaldings in the sky, they're getting a lot cleaner, a lot more quickly. Like what I can achieve in one session used to take me like 2 or 3 sessions with my
Right.
skies.
You just know exactly how you're about to go about something, go about a certain gradients in certain places.
Well, and I think a lot of it is I've just spent so much time now staring at like space photography that I'm really like, I'm visually understanding it. And I'm understanding how like the gaseous masses like overlap each other and the subtle nuances of how like one flash of color will affect it. And then I'm also understanding the photography tricks that it in like the overlapping of colors that they're using to achieve these images. So that is kind of allowing me to know where I can like take freedoms and where I need to get it exactly right when it comes to color. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just like replicating this because it's this color. I'm replicating this
You
form because it
you
makes this
understand
whole
the
other.
nature of the structure and how the colors are working there. To be
Yeah,
able to,
like
when
it takes
there's a
less.
flash of light, you understand how those flashes of light are working against all these other clouds that are here
It
versus
takes
this
less.
other star that's got this cool color that's, you know, bursting over here,
Yep.
and how that's reflecting and mixing in with those warm colors.
It's
and the
like it
neutral
takes less
area.
brain power to decipher what's going on in the photo in front of me. And if it takes less brain power to decipher it, then I can just translate it more quickly.
Right. And
So
you
there's
don't-
just some
exactly.
things that have clicked.
And you can just do your own with it as opposed to replicating something perfectly. It's like, oh no, I see why that's happening there. I'm going to do that this way. And it's all random pattern in general. So it really, if you already know the structure of it and how that's created and like how visually it's created, you can do that in a million different ways and represent the same exact thing.
Yeah. There's definitely some things with my
And it wouldn't look any
outer
different.
space stuff that is just clicking and going more quickly. Let's pull up J Doggy's page if I can find it.
Do that real quick and then we'll wrap up.
This him?
That's me.
Oh, this is the one. This is super nice, Jordan.
Thank you.
Let me get our screen share going.
Part of a full sleeve that we're making.
Yeah, this thing is fantastic.
Thank you. Honestly, all of that. So when I laid it down and for what the stencil was and what we were planning for the drawing, all of these shapes. So not the shapes that are behind, but the shapes forward that are created by the negative spaces. All those were just black. Everything was black. Had no idea of any of the patterning I was going to create behind it. So as we were, as we started, I just started working with the natural patterning of that to create the underneath pattern by just like starting to create concentric circles around places and maneuvering into the pattern. But honestly, he thought it was going to be solid black. I told him I might do some details and some extra patterning.
So this is kind of like free. He's kind of giving you freedom to go free form with it. Let it come.
Gave me a lot of freedom to do whatever I wanted on that. And, honestly, and then as the artist, kind of gave myself a lot of freedom to go through and do something new and really work on some new patterning.
Nice job,
in
Jordan.
A different way. And honestly, it was awesome. I'm really happy with how I just went with the flow, trusted the process, and it turned out to just be really cool. And I had no idea what it was going to look like.
Nice. Yeah, I thought that was excellent. Yeah, we've just been busy the last few weeks. We've both been like opposite schedules.
Yeah, I've basically been in Michigan. I was here for like a day or two, the past week, but I've been in Detroit for the past week doing stuff.
Yep.
It's all been a good time. Great Thanksgiving on our part. We had a lot of fun.
Yep. What do we got going on next week? Anything in particular? I was trying to get a friend, Lacey, on the show today. She's the one that I've been reworking a lot of her collection. So I'm reworking huge majorities of her existing collection. And then she's got a leg sleeve. So we're bouncing back and forth between her original new leg sleeve and she's got the jellyfish. Okay. I posted a TikTok video of her jellyfish not too long ago. So you can see the one that I'm talking about. But anyways.
I got a client that I want to get on as well. The guy that was talking about with Ben. I want to get him on pretty soon. I think he'd be down almost any time if he doesn't have to work.
Yep, I've got a handful of people lined up on Instagram. I just kind of got to get on the ball. I've just had so much going on. I haven't really had time to like reach out and do the back and forth.
Today's the first day I've had to sit and think. Honestly, about this stuff.
So I think I'm gonna just keep kind of flying by the seat of our pants for January. Or December, I mean, and then in January, I'm going to start having we'll probably be scheduled maybe a month and a half out all the time. So we'll be able to let you know who we've got coming. And so once there's going to be a big shift in January. It's kind of like a milestone where.
Start with the new year. We're going to start out strong. It's the new year.
That's honestly, the momentum of this has really kind of turned into its own thing. So now it's kind of like we had all these ideas and now we've got the platform to make the ideas happen. Now we got to make the time to make the ideas happen that we now have the platform to make happen. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to hitting as many conventions as possible. I'm going to try to hit at least one a year. We've got the Reinventing event coming up in is it in February at Red Tree? I believe it's in February. There's going to be like,
I think so.
yeah, it's going to be just like the Jiminy Peak event where you'll be able to like basically attend virtually. So you'll be able to sit in on live streams of
Nice.
all kinds of lessons
yeah.
and tutorials.
That's going to be super awesome. I cannot wait for that. I also want to plug real fast that if anybody in California would like to get tattooed by me, I will be there at the end of March.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to shop them with a workout for a week.
Nice. Good deal. We're out.
Old Crow Tattoo. Have you ever heard of it? It's a pretty big name. They got a lot of followers and stuff, but they reached out.
I probably
reached out
follow them and don't
particularly.
realize. It's so funny how that happens where it's like, oh, it could be familiar. It's like, oh, I've been following them for years.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see how that all goes.
Good for you.
If anyone's out there,
Ready to get your travel on.
yep, getting there.
Yeah, you've got a lot of West Coast
And
clients.
grab a hold of opportunities.
Yeah.
I wouldn't move there by any means. I have no plans on moving there. I just want to go out there.
Yeah.
Tattoo in a new place.
Oh,
Every
visit.
time I go
Yeah.
out west to tattoo, I build quite a few clients that end up traveling across the country for me and stay devoted, and might as well go do that.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for you. I don't know if I'm actually going to do a lot of traveling to tattoo. I think it's going to be as much hanging out in other shops and stuff like that as I can, and hitting as many conventions as I can. If I can get into the routine, like if I hit a convention a month and then on the way to or from the convention, stop at a couple of shops and get smaller segments. Like I just really want to start sharing all the different feels and all the different, every shop has a different feel. It has a different vibe. It has different goals, different history.
I'm sure I could do something too when I'm out there.
Yeah.
As well, run through the studio.
Well, it's so easy to connect now. So
excited for it all.
big changes. I mean, it's not really big changes. It's just like little changes and little additions, but like it'll be more fun
Just
content.
Growth. And
Yep.
I like the consistency that we have now, and everything seems to just move forward.
Yep. It's coming along. It's crazy to stop and think about how much we've learned and how many hurdles we've overcome already. So it's just a matter of just keep going.
Right.
Just keep going. It's going to get cooler. We'll have, I don't know. I'm just excited to talk to more people. I think a lot of people that I reach out to are definitely stoked, but it's just a matter of like getting our lives together. And if I just show up and it's like, hey, let's talk for 20 minutes, it'll be a lot easier to get just like quick walkthroughs of studios, and we'll be able to get a lot of meaningful, educational, collector-based material. So starting in January, the format will probably like 3 weeks out of the month will be just like this, but we'll have that extra episode where it's just like on the road shenanigans. So, but all right, we're making Jordan fall asleep.
I'm sorry, it's that time. It's right before my brain knows.
It knows what's up. All right, guys. Well, if you're listening, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with some kind of fun conversation. We got all kinds of tattoo
More
stuff to
fun
talk about all the
conversations to
time.
come. Today was a good day, though.
Yep. Recap. All right, guys.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Should I just let this roll while we tear down till Lauren stops us?